Welcome back, guys. This is Beat 'em to the Punch with Aar and Jay, and today we're here to talk about the fights last night on UFC 264.
Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. All right, so Conor McGregor, man.
Tough night for him. Tough night in the office for Conor McGregor.
Yeah, so you guys were probably watching, and you probably saw his ankle snap right in half at the end of the first round. Which
Like
is,
Anderson Silva.
yeah, man, and that is not at all how we wanted to see that fight end, man. Like,
No, that's such a bummy way for the trilogy to end. If we don't know that it's over.
I don't think that wasn't a real proper conclusion to the trilogy, and I do think we are eventually going to see that fight again, actually.
Bro, I agree. And the good thing about this is too, like, we, at least in this scenario, we actually kind of have Dana White on our side, because Dana White, he loves Conor McGregor because Conor McGregor makes him more money than anyone else. So, like, if he thinks the fans want to see Conor versus Dustin 4, like, it's Conor McGregor, man. Like, that fight is never out of question, you know?
If anyone's going to get the special treatment and get a fourth fight out of a trilogy that they already lost, it's definitely Conor McGregor.
Facts.
And yeah, man. So anyway, what do you think about how he looked in that fight until the leg got broken? Like, what were you thinking about that?
Oh, it's so tough to analyze. I almost feel like on the feet at the start of the fight, I really like how active he was. I was saying that to you before, and in the last podcast, like, he had like a really stationary stance last time. His mobility was kind of bad in the last fight. This time he came in, you could tell he really worked on that, so less of a boxing stance. And this time it was him throwing the leg kicks, which may have been his detriment with that eventually fractured ankle, but I mean, we don't really know.
Yeah, because that's what Dustin said. Dustin said he checked one of McGregor's kicks, and that was when the initial break happened. And then after, when he stood back on it, it just continued to break, and that's when he fell over. But we don't really know when it broke or how it happened, but it was definitely broken.
Yeah. And I think, like, just trading shots, dude, I think both guys, prior to the takedown, they both look pretty good. I would say it was about 50-50 on the feet before then. Dustin lands a couple shots, gets him against the cage, and he's pushing in. Conor's, they're hand fighting, so he's basically along the cage, what Dustin's trying to do is he's trying to connect his arms behind him and get them together, and then he can pull them down. And then Conor's fighting the hands. He's making sure he can't get them together, and then Conor abandons that plan, and then he goes for the guillotine,
Which was a mistake, you think, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, DC thinks it was a mistake, and it looks like it was a mistake now, so I'd say it was a mistake.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it was ballsy, and like, Dustin probably wouldn't expect it. He talked about it after. It seemed like he basically played the situation perfectly, right? He got taken down in the guillotine. He let Conor sink it in a bit. Conor's on the ground now. He's kind of in a worse position, but potentially locking in the guillotine. Mm-hmm. But then after he loses it, after Dustin gets out, he's an elite grappler, right? So he gets out, he handles the situation perfectly. Then Conor's in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. He's back in a really bad position on the ground.
Yeah, because he kind of like put himself underneath Dustin, and then when Dustin got out of the guillotine attempt, he just started grounding, pounding him, landing pretty big shots and elbows and stuff. And Conor was getting busted up, man. Like, he was getting busted up a bit there. And I think it's pretty ironic, you can say, how Conor's prediction going into this fight was that Dustin is leaving on a stretcher and Conor's the one who left on a stretcher.
Oh, you're funny. This guy's a comedian over here, eh?
Man, it's irony.
Yeah.
Karma's a bitch, irony. Man. That's what Dustin said.
Karma's not a bitch, it's a mirror. I think that's what he said. You know what? Maybe Conor just got really fired up by Zalgas Zuma Gulov. Roast me on Twitter because I have no idea how to pronounce that guy's name. He had a standing guillotine in like the first fight of the night. So yeah. Conor just saw that guy and he's like, that dude's a gangster.
That was a sick submission. I'll give you that.
That was dope. Yeah.
I was impressed.
No, but so obviously there's the ground and pound. During which it was kind of weird that no one talked about it. Even like the diehard Conor fans, like when Dustin kind of like stuck his toes in the fence. Listen, I'm more of a Conor fan. I'll be the first to say that, but I really don't think that would have had much of an effect on the fight. And then Dustin
Was you talking about Conor sticking his fingers in Dustin's gloves?
Well, that too, and obviously that didn't have an effect on the fight, but there was that as well. And then Dustin kind of like steps back and he's like looking at Herb Dean, and then obviously the two guys get up. They both go for a shot. Conor steps back, and that like twist of the hips when he's throwing the cross, and he goes back onto his ankle and just breaks. It looks like I don't even think it was the ankle. It's like the up a little higher. Like I think it's the fibula and tibia. Yeah. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what I'm talking about, but like if you guys saw the picture for that, like on UFC's Instagram or like my Instagram, or you watch the fight, it's disgusting, man. But
do you think that was kind of similar to what happened to Chris Weidman a couple weeks ago?
Maybe, but with Chris Weidman, it's like obviously awful, but with that one you can really trace it to what happens, right? He goes for like a really heavy low kick. Uriah Hall checks it, and it's pretty clear that that's when it happened, right? It happened immediately. But this one, like it's so hard to know like when the actual like maybe like a microfracture or hairline fracture occurred. Obviously Dustin said it was like when he pointed to that kick that he checked, but I mean, like we were saying earlier, like Conor threw a lot of kicks after that, and he landed some kicks, and he threw some like heavy kicks too. Like,
oh yeah. So I don't know. It's really hard to say, but anyway, Chris Weidman is training again like a few weeks after that happened, which
that dude's a savage.
Savage, man. That's insane.
Oh yeah, he's a savage.
Anyway,
yeah, that was a kind of a disappointing ending to the trilogy, like we said.
There was so much hype around that fight in the build-up, and then for like that, like. Okay, it was an okay first round. Half of it was Conor just getting punched in the face under Dustin, and then it ends like that. Crazy.
It's crazy too, because like the whole time I was watching the prelims, and then like the first half of the main card, I'm like, this card is like, it's nasty. Like these fights are so good, and I'm like, and there's a freaking Conor fight after this. Like how crazy this. And then the Conor fight. This was like the most disappointing fight of the night.
Yeah, and the co-main event, I wasn't like it was an okay fight. Dana White said it wasn't a good fight, but it was a technical battle between Gilbert Burns and Stephen Thompson. It was still interesting to watch. Like it was a little bit anticlimactic too, though. That was one of my picks for fight of the night. I thought that was going to be a really good fight. I thought those guys were going to be banging, man. But kind of was a little more technical. Not a lot happened, and Gilbert Burns came out on top in the end. But
yeah, he's a savage. But going back to the Conor fight, man, like say what you will about Conor McGregor, but like how dope was his walkout though? I swear there's nothing more electric than like a Conor McGregor walkout.
Yeah.
Like he's walking out with the flag, like, and he's just like staring at the thing, staring at the camera, and he's like eyeing it down. And he's like flexing and stuff. He's just walking out. Oh, that's so gangster. To the OG Biggie Smalls music too. Like, crazy.
He was doing his little strut. But like, man, all that, and you're gonna go and break your leg and lose the fight. Come on, bro.
It's tough though. That's what happens when you cage fight for a living though. Like you just never know what's gonna happen when you step in there. You know.
Yeah, anything can happen. That's true, man.
So what do you think? What do you think is next for Conor McGregor? Obviously, the healing process comes first, but what's after that?
Well, I think so. This is Dana White said after the fight, he's like, okay, so Dustin's gonna go on to fight Charles Oliveira for the lightweight title, which makes perfect sense. That
100.
Yeah, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a good fight. And then he said, obviously, Conor needs time to heal, and then after the Dustin Oliveira fight, Dustin can run it back with Conor. That's what Dana said right after the fight. Because you know that Dana White will always want Conor to fight. He'll always want that money because he's a big money draw. So I think we'll see it. Honestly, I think we will see Conor fight Dustin again, even if Dustin wins the title against Charles and Conor just comes back and gets a title fight right away. Like, Conor could do that. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. And it's so crazy too, because going into this fight and obviously prepping for this podcast, I was thinking about the implications of both guys losing. And I'm thinking about Conor, and I'm like, man, if you're Conor, like this really puts you like out of the title picture. Maybe you go fight Nate. Maybe you don't even want to fight in the MMA. in MMA anymore because he's fighting for his legacy right now. Maybe you go box Pacquiao. There might even be a Floyd potential fight. Maybe a Jake Paul fight. Or maybe you like go down a weight class. That's pretty unlikely. But as crazy as it is to say, man, like this, obviously you hate to see that happen to Conor, but this literally might be like a good scenario for him.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be right.
And you think about it too, and it's like, obviously Dustin at this point wants to win that belt, and he deserves to fight for that belt, and he will fight for that belt. But why? Like, if he wins the belt, why the hell wouldn't he fight Conor? He's beat this guy twice. Those 2 fights, I can tell you for a fact, he made the most money of any fights in his career by far, and it's making him a bigger star too, because people. Like, when he's on with Conor, people are watching and they're like, dude, Poirier is a gangster.
Man, I bet you the amount of followers and fans he had from before those 2 Conor fights to after has doubled or tripled.
100%, man. 100%. Because now he's, like, acquiring all the McGregor haters as Poirier fans, too, right? So, and even if you're, like, an unbiased fan and you're like, I just want to see good fighting, like, you probably like this guy after the fight. He's like a good guy. He's like a really, really technically sound, tough fighter. And the other thing is too, with like making a Conor Poirier 4 is like, dude, Poirier beat him twice. Like, he's not scared of him, man. Like,
no.
Well, like, he's like, okay, I'll make $1 million and knock him out again, right? I'm not saying that's how it's gonna go, but if you're Poirier, why wouldn't you look at it like that?
Yeah, 100%. Because, man, these guys are fighting, like, legacy and the belt is a huge thing, but a lot of them, they're trying to make their living, man. They're trying to make money. And honestly, I think a lot of them don't even do that well, considering, like, what they do in there. I don't think they get paid that much. So for Dustin to be able to make that money off of Conor, 100%, he's going to want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, still now, freaking Conor McGregor red panty night, that's a real thing, man. Like, guys... Like, Conor's a tough matchup, but like, you make so much money on those fights. You said in the last podcast, you're like, like, the guy fighting Conor makes more money than the guy freaking fighting for the belt. Like, that's real, man. Yeah. And it's crazy, but it's real.
That's what Conor says. He's like, man, like, these guys thank me for fighting them.
It's good Conor shit talking too, because it's like, that's facts.
Yeah. All said and done, Conor's still the one making people money out there.
Supply and demand, brother.
Yeah.
Can't be mad at it. Like, that's how the game goes, right? This is cage fighting, and you're fighting for a following, and you're fighting for a reward. You're punching each other in the face in a cage to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Enough said. Oh yeah, and just overall, like, what would you rate this card out of 10?
Like the whole card?
Like the whole card, yeah.
Ooh, well, there's... Like, the lead-up fights were really good. Like, Sugar Sean, awesome fight. Tai Tuivasa, awesome fight. Even that Irene Aldana fight. Like,
that was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good fight, man. Mm-hmm. So, honestly, all said and done, I'll still give it, like, a solid 7 out of 10. Because, it's just tough. Because I really was expecting more out of that main event with Conor. Like, that was one of my picks for fight of the night. I thought it was going to be... at least like a nice knockout or like a war, like a 5-round war or a clean finish or something. And it just didn't really end that way. So that's what lowers my grading of this card just a little bit. But I was still impressed with some of the under fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I had it at like 7.5 out of 10. And going in, I was like, this card's going to be like a freaking 9 out of 10. It's going to compete. It might be the best card of the year. I was thinking, obviously, the competition would be either that Jorge Usman card with the brutal knockout of the year so far, or the Brandon Moreno Figueiredo 2 / Adesanya versus Vettori card.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'd rate it like a 7.5, I would say, just because I thought the prelims were awesome. Like, even the early prelims, man, like we said before, like that Zalgis Zumagulov, I'm gonna have to work on that, sorry guys. The Brad Tavares fight was nice. Jessica eye. No, third eye.
Jessica Third Eye.
Jessica Third Eye.
That was a brutal cut. She got
Yeah.
17 stitches in her forehead or something like
She's
that.
a gangster. She's a gangster.
It's a bad bitch.
Bro, you don't realize how tough those fighters are either until like did you guys see that freaking like her skulls?
It was literally a third eye in the middle of her forehead, man.
And that's like there was still a freaking entire round with that like gash in her head. And then obviously there was Dracus Duplessis. I hope that's correct. He told us how to pronounce it like 5 times.
Dracus Duplessis. Something like that. I don't know.
There was the Ryan Hall, Ilya Topuria fight. That was a little bit underwhelming.
That was a weird fight, man.
Yeah, the Nico Price, Michel Peleda fight was like, that was pretty dope. It wasn't the fight of the night I thought it would be, but I mean, that was still a fun one. It was like really back and forth. Like it looked like Nico might take him out at the end when he really gassed. But yeah, Carlos Condit, Max Griffin. Really happy for Max Griffin. He's been fighting in the UFC for a while, and it looks like he might. I mean, he's definitely looks like he's on his way to being like top 15. He might. I don't know. He might be at the top of the top 15 now. Like,
Yeah, he might be breaking into it a little bit.
yeah, he might be number 15 or something.
Like I said before, I have no idea how the rankings work or what propels you into the top 15. Like, I would think you'd have to beat at least somebody who's ranked to be ranked.
Generally speaking, yes. But I mean, if you think about it, right, if there's like the number 14, 15 guy like loses a bunch in a row to people that are worse and aren't like making their way up, like, and then this guy Max Griffin, he got a nasty knockout in his last fight, and now he had a really good performance against Carlos Condit, really disciplined fight, not like the casual fan massive knockout that people want to see, but like he just, as like a MMA fan, like it's just a strategically good fight, you know?
Yeah, it was a good fight. I like that fight.
Yeah,
Honestly,
and then
I thought Carlos looked good too, man.
he did.
He kind of came back a little bit, but was it a split decision or was that unanimous?
Unanimous, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think we both gave Condit the second round, but
Because he started picking it up a little bit, and he's such a seasoned veteran fighter that he's not worried about that stuff. But yeah, I think at one point it was like Carlos needed to knock out Max to win the fight, and he couldn't quite get that done. So
I had Carlos winning the second, just because he had that takedown at the end. But yeah, I mean, even if he takes that second round, I think Max Griffin like fairly won the fight, and Carlos wasn't too upset about it. And also, like it's such a big test for Max too, because Carlos Condit is such a seasoned vet. Like that's a really tough fight to win, and he just showed that he's legit.
yeah,
Yeah, and I mean the rest of the card too. We'll talk about the main card, but yeah, 7 out of 10 from me.
yeah, it was like you said, like going into it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a freaking 10 out of 10 card. I was so pumped, and so it was slightly disappointing, but all said and done, I'm not gonna drag it down too much. 7 out of 10 seems fair. Like,
Yeah. And what were your first thoughts on the Gilbert Burns Stephen Thompson fight?
Oh, like it was a really technical fight. It wasn't super entertaining, like Dana was saying. It wasn't a war. There wasn't any blood, but it was super technical because it was between like the counter strikes of Thompson versus the takedowns and the jiu-jitsu of Burns, right? You want to break that down a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So going in, I was rooting for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He's 38. This is realistically, I feel like might have been his last opportunity to earn that title shot. But I mean, you never know. Maybe he's in Glover Teixeira, but tough to say. But I just felt like Gilbert Burns, man, strategically, that fight was so good. I mean, the fans hated it, obviously, and a lot of people won't like a fight like that, but he's like an elite top-level grappler, and he has fire hands, so he can knock you out with one punch. But just the way he was fighting against Wonderboy, he respected his skill set a lot. He knew he wasn't going to rush in and knock him out, and he just fought so maturely. So basically, for those of you watching, what he was kind of thinking, I can't look into his brain, but with a guy like Wonderboy, if you throw the first strike, you really have to worry about his unconventional counter striking, right? Like some of those kicks he can throw, like he can get you sometimes when you rush in to throw a strike. He obviously had the reach advantage. So Gilbert Burns, what he's doing in that like somewhat unaggressive fight is he's waiting for Wonderboy to throw the first strike, because Wonderboy, obviously he can strike with the best of them, but he's like an elite counter striker. And the other thing is too, Wonderboy, when he's throwing the first strike, that kind of opens him up to takedowns a little bit more. And obviously his ground game is, well, not obviously, but his ground game is, I mean, it's good, but it's not on the same level as Gilbert Burns. I mean, he's an elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu athlete. Like Rogan was talking about it. He was literally in like a world-class jiu-jitsu event like a little while ago, and he freaking beat one of the top guys apparently.
He's a 4-time world jiu-jitsu champion. So he's really good, really skilled. Black belt and all that. So
yeah. I mean, he looked really mature too. You have to keep in mind too, he's like coming off a loss to Usman, and that's freaking devastating, man. Like, he's a young fighter. He like rolled his way to the top. He beat Tyron Woodley, and then he got that title shot, and he got TKO'd. And like in his comeback fight, like he looked so good, man.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was really impressed because I actually thought Wonderboy was going to win that fight.
Me too.
I thought he was going to be able to counter him and kind of pick him apart on the feet. But Burns he was so patient, and he just waited to get those takedowns and stuff, which ultimately won him the fight. Like, nothing too crazy happened. Wonderboy landed a couple nice kicks. He landed a couple nice like spinning heel kicks and stuff like that, but not enough to put Burns out. And I think Burns had, I don't know how many takedowns, but he got him down a couple times, and that's what I think at the very end of the fight, there was like 2 minutes left in the last round, and it's like, if Burns can take him down here, he definitely wins the fight, and he got him down. And like Rogan was saying, he's like, nobody can deal with the jiu-jitsu level of Gilbert Burns because of his 4-time world champions, and he's still fighting championship guys in jiu-jitsu. So that's what ended the fight right there. But he still didn't submit him or anything. But it was such a technical fight. I liked it.
I liked it too. Well, as a Wonderboy fan, I didn't like it, but as an MMA fan, I definitely respect where Gilbert Burns is coming from, right? It's just a really, really like well put together game plan. I think it shows a lot of maturity. Obviously, he like respected Wonderboy's skill set a lot, because Wonderboy's he's a freaking monster, right? And even Wonderboy too, you could tell. I mean, he looked really tentative, but I think that says more about Gilbert Burns. Like, he knows what Gilbert Burns can do, and Gilbert Burns strategically just put together such a good game plan where Wonderboy doesn't want to get too aggressive, because he knows Gilbert Burns can dive for a leg, and he can work in his takedowns into his striking, where he throws a shot and then he goes for a level change and gets a takedown. And Wonderboy knows at the end of that fight too, like in the last round, even you could tell he's tentative even when he needs a finish, and that's because he knows if Gilbert Burns grabs a leg, like, he's screwed, man. Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. So, what do you think is next for Gilbert Burns?
Gilbert Burns could fight Jorge. He could fight, maybe Masvidal. That'd be cool, man. Because he's not going to get a title shot right away from that, I don't think. He just lost to Usman. He's got to win at least one more time, I think, before he gets the Usman shot again. So,
yeah. At least.
Yeah. I think Colby's going to be fighting Usman. I think that's actually set. I think that's...
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. We can check that after. I think it's being negotiated.
I didn't hear about that.
It's being negotiated anyway. I think I heard Dana talking about that. And so, I don't know, maybe Burns could fight Masvidal or one of the other top-ranked guys, and then after that, if he wins, he could maybe get a rematch with Usman.
Just because something is being set up, especially with A, the UFC... B, Colby Covington, that nothing is at all in concrete right now. Like, we have no idea if that's going to happen. Like, freaking Dana White was talking about Derek Lewis fighting Francis for like 2 months, and then on the flip of a freaking dime, now Cyril Gane's fighting Derek Lewis. But that's a conversation for another day. But where are they going with this? No, anyway, I see Gilbert Burns maybe fighting like Leon Edwards or something. I mean, Dana White said himself that he thought that was a boring fight. So, I mean, he's probably not going to reward him all that much. And I mean, Leon Edwards he's ranked like one spot behind him. So, assuming Colby does fight Kamaru Usman, maybe you see a Gilbert Burns versus Leon Edwards, and then the winner of that might get a title shot, just depending on how it goes. Obviously, a lot can happen in between now and then, but I mean, you can definitely make a case for Usman versus Gilbert Burns too, right? Because it's not like Usman ran through him or anything. Like, that was definitely a competitive fight, and yeah, a fight I'd like to see again.
I'd like to see it again, and I'd like to see the first time we did not see Burns use his jiu-jitsu at all.
Not at all.
He was trying to stand and strike with Usman, which is not really a smart game plan.
Yeah.
Like, and he was even clipping him. He has power. Like, you could see, remember at the beginning of that fight?
He had him wobbled.
Yeah, Usman was getting rocked a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So I definitely like to see that one again. Maybe if Burns mixes up his jiu-jitsu a bit in there, he can get a better result.
How old is Gilbert Burns, man?
I don't think he's too old. I can't remember exactly how old he is. He's probably mid to young 30s.
Okay, yeah, he's 34.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he honestly, he showed me a lot in that fight, because he just won so many fights when on his way up to that title bout. He like showed so much with his striking, and just after that loss, like the way he decided to like go to his roots and use that jiu-jitsu to beat Wonderboy just shows like a smart fighter to me.
Yeah, like you were saying, I think he perfectly executed his game plan in that fight.
Yeah, but I mean, so I'd like to see him fight Leon next.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I never really know with Leon. I mean, he's probably gonna get hurt in the next year, because he just has the worst luck of anyone in the UFC, it seems like. But yeah. And then before that, we had like pretty much the only fight we called on like the entire card, which, not to like toot my own horn, it was I called first round knockout for Tai Tuivasa. I said it wasn't going past the first round, which it didn't. It ended at 1 minute and 7 seconds. That Greg Hardy versus Tai Tuivasa. And you want to break that one down a little bit, Jason, for those who didn't watch?
Yeah, so the fight, it ended like a minute into the first round or so. Like, it didn't go very long.
107.
So
yeah.
Basically, the ref is like, let's fight. Greg Hardy just points to the middle of the octagon.
Gangsta.
Like, yeah, it was a badass move, man.
Yeah.
And so they basically just start banging out. And Greg Hardy lands a big shot on Tai Tuivasa. Like, he wobbled him a bit.
Yeah.
And then Tuivasa just came back with a monster left hook and just... He literally cracked him one time, knocked him out, and Greg Hardy's whole eye was just like swollen up.
Yeah, man.
But that was so cool. So like, he got hit and then just came back with a bomb and dropped Hardy right
sick.
on his fucking head. And then that was one of the performance of the nights, I believe, right?
Yeah. So that was a performance of the night, and two big boys throwing hands.
Yeah,
love that.
We knew that was going to be a good one going in, though.
Yeah,
like that was a good fight. Yeah.
I called the Michel Pereira versus Nico Price fight the fight of the night, and then going into this one, I was like, oh, why didn't I say this one was going to be the fight of the night? It's so obviously the fight of the night, actually, well, it wasn't. Fight of the night or performance of the night.
It was he deserved the performance of the night bonus for
100%.
Quick knockout. And then right after, he runs over and someone passes him a shoe and a beer, and he does a shoey right there.
Bro, he finishes him, right? He's doing a dance. He's like, get the shoe. And he runs, he hops up on the cage. He's like doing a shoey. Oh, I love that guy. How can you not love that guy?
He's so dope, man. And like, he's walking out and people just keep handing them, like, random people from the crowd as he's walking out of the arena are just handing him their shoes full of beer, and he's just like chugging beers out of random people's shoes.
Bro,
right.
beer or hot sauce. In the post fight, he's like, one guy put freaking hot sauce in the shoe,
you see him dump it in. So gross.
And then there's a guy from the top pouring his beer. He, like Tai Tuivasa was saying, he's like, yeah, the one guy, he's like showing me the beer, and he's like, you're not gonna throw that, eh? You can't throw that down. You're definitely gonna spill it. So he's like, yeah, just pour the beer, and
he's like, it's going down like 5 feet, and he's just like catching it in his mouth, like chugging it.
That's just a feel good fight though. Like for Tai Tuivasa, right? It's a guy that's been cut from the UFC before, came back, he had 2 wins. He's starting to get some like fan attention, and then on this massive McGregor card, like you could tell the fans. He was already a fan favorite.
They went wild when he came out.
Oh man, Yeah.
They were loud for him, man.
They loved him then, and they're going to love him even more now. I feel like he almost just became a household name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he's getting better too, man. Like,
Yeah.
he's got some momentum going now. I think he's got like 3 in a row or something now.
Yeah, he's probably just outside that top 15. He was calling for a top 10 or 15 guy next, and I think he'll probably get it. Why wouldn't you give it to him?
Yeah.
He's on 3-fight win streak, yeah.
Because Greg Hardy was working his way up too, so.
Yeah, they're probably around like the same. They're probably both in between like 20 and 15.
Yeah.
You said?
Yeah,
I'd say somewhere around there.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure,
I mean, 3-fight win streak, massive knockout, performance of the night. He's got to get a top 15 guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know who you give that guy, though. Here, I pull up the rankings.
Is that light heavyweight or is that heavyweight?
Yeah, heavyweight.
Heavy,
Couple of big boys.
What am I saying? Of course, that's heavyweight.
Those are not light heavyweights, man.
Yeah, what did they weigh? Greg Hardy came in at like 264. Like,
oh yeah,
bro, that's a big boy.
That's a big boy. What was Tuivasa? I don't know what he weighed in at. I didn't watch the weigh-ins.
Up there too, probably like 260 something. That's heavyweight.
I believe it. Who do we like for him here? I mean, you could give him Malinik. He just lost to Sergey Spivak.
He lost to Sergey?
Yeah, Sergey won that one. I don't know. Maybe like a Tom Aspinall if you want to work your way up. If you could give him Walt Harris too. He's having a tough time now.
I'd like to see that. Has he been losing some or?
Yeah, he just lost his last 2. I don't think you go inside the top 10 quite yet. But yeah, honestly, 11 to 15 is fine.
Walt Harris is a good matchup for him.
That would be a fun one. Yeah.
I'd like that.
I think that would be a really entertaining
they
fight.
asked him like if he wanted to call someone out, and he's like, I don't care, just give me a top 10 or 15 guys. So
yeah,
he doesn't care who he fights, he just wants to fight.
Yeah, and that's a tough one for Greg Hardy too, man. Obviously he lost his last one to Tybura. He kind of needed a redemption. I don't know where he's at on his contract with the UFC. Wouldn't shock me if they give him one more, but it's not like he's really has a ton of fans on his side that much with his past allegations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so hard to know what's gonna happen with him next. Right?
I'll probably give him one more.
I agree with you.
It's too early to cut him. I don't think they're gonna cut him yet, but
yeah,
if he keeps losing, like maybe 1 or 2 more in a row, I don't know.
I'd say one more.
Yeah,
I think one more. He's got to win. But I mean, he's good though. Like he's probably still in the top like 20, like probably somewhere above 20 now. So I mean, if they give him one of those guys and he can get a win, like yeah,
he definitely has to get a win now. I think.
Yeah.
It's like do or die for him.
Do or die, baby. Yep, the Prince of War. He's on the bubble. And what do you think of that Irene Aldana Yana Kunitskaya fight? I mean, I know you didn't know all that much about either of the fighters going in, but that was actually a really good fight.
It was a good fight. Irene Aldana, who won, missed weight by like 3.5 pounds or something like that, which isn't really. I don't like to see that. Like, this is a professional sport. Everybody is obligated to do the weight cut and to come in at weight. And she missed it. That being said, I don't think it really takes away from her win. She did sacrifice 30% of her purse. If you miss weight, you give away 30% of the money you make for that fight, which is fair. And anyway, because it was really just her boxing that won the fight. She outboxed the girl, Yana. Yeah, she outboxed her. Dude, she was bleeding a lot. She cranked her in the nose.
Yeah.
And it was just pouring everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's like you said, though. Like, the boxing really won that time. And honestly, I thought Kunitskaya looked really good coming out. She looked really aggressive, but she just couldn't get the fight into the clinch or onto the ground. And I mean, like I said in the past podcast, like that's where she needs to take the fight to win, because Aldana is like a really good boxer. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm not shocked by the way that went, even though I predicted Kunitskaya winning. But yeah, I mean, Irene Aldana looked good, man. She's gonna keep working her way up the rankings.
She's got crisp boxing, man. Like, that was clean, just landing clean strikes on her. Like, I was impressed. Yeah.
I don't know if the UFC will take into account the fact that she missed weight all that much. I'd say if she made weight, I'd say probably give her the loser of Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena, potentially. But like she did miss by 3 pounds, which is a lot.
It was like more than that. It was like 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, you never know with those two, because like you don't know if maybe they just tried to cut too much weight at the last minute, so she's gonna be like messed up, or you don't know. Like on the other hand, sometimes they're like going into the day or a few days before, and they're like, "Oh, we're not making weight. Like, why should we try? Like, we're just gonna mess you up for no reason." So, and she looked really healthy in there. So
yeah,
I don't want to launch any like false accusations there, but
I don't like to see them miss weight. It's not really fair.
No,
but you do give up 30% of your pay, so I guess that's that.
Yep. And the first fight of the card, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Chris Moutinho, was an interesting one.
This was fight of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
was really interesting. So Chris Moutinho, his first fight in the UFC on the main card of a Conor McGregor fight, which is massive. And honestly, I was impressed with him. He put on a show. That kid can take a freaking punch, man. Like at one point it was like, I think I was looking at the strikes and it was like Moutinho landed like 20, Sean O'Malley landed like 150 on him.
Yeah.
And even Rogan or DC said during the fight, they're like, this kid is a zombie. He was just getting like combination, like cranked in the face, and he just kept walking him down, man. He was like the Terminator in there. And I didn't really, what do you think about the stoppage?
It's a tough one, man. I'm not a doctor, so I don't really see the signs. Maybe he looked messed up. But it's just tough to see, man, because it's like there's 30 seconds left, right, in the whole fight. If there's 30 seconds left in the round, like he's getting messed up. Like what I'm trying to say if this is a 5-round fight and it's round 3 and he's getting lit up like that, I don't have as much of an issue with it, because like he's probably gonna keep getting lit up like that. He's getting beat up badly, and it's like a Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson type situation, but. You just feel bad for the kid, because if you last 3 rounds with Sugar Sean O'Malley in your first fight in the UFC, like that's you almost get a badge of honor for that.
Man, I really think they should have let him finish fighting. Everybody said that too. Rogan and all the commentators were like, why would you not let him finish? He deserved to finish that fight, man. Like, and then again, like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how much damage he took, but he was still walking forward. He was still fighting. He wasn't out on his feet like Tony was in that Gaethje fight. Like, Tony was, like, out on his feet, fucking, like, shaking his head around. Like, Moutinho was still coming forward. He was still fighting. He was still in it, and then they stopped the fight. He was getting teed off on, but I didn't really like the stoppage, personally.
You know what I think, Jason? I think you should put some damn respect on Herb Dean's name.
Hey, Herb Dean's like my favorite ref, man. Because Herb Dean will usually let somebody die in there. He doesn't, usually people are getting punched in the head. And you're like, Herb, stop the fight, man. What are you doing? Stop the fight. That's better. I'd rather it be stopped late than be stopped early. As bad as that is to say, I know these guys are taking damage and getting punched in the face, but I just hate to see an early stoppage, man. I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Herb Dean's like... He's UFC royalty right now. Yeah. But honestly, I thought Herb Dean had a bad night, man.
And he didn't notice in the Conor fight, it was Herb too. He didn't see the toes in the cage or the fingers in the gloves. He didn't.
Facts.
He didn't call any of that.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
Herb wasn't on his game.
Herb wasn't on his game, but I mean, the thing, like, it didn't really affect the outcome of any fights, I don't think. So I mean, it is what it is. Like, refs are gonna have off nights. It's just good. It didn't really hurt anyone. But yeah, Sugar Sean gets the TKO in that one off a technicality. He looked freaking good.
Who did, sir?
Sugar Sean.
Oh yeah, Sugar Sean looked really good. Like, man, he couldn't put him out though. I don't know if it's just because Moutinho is so tough. But even Dana was saying, like, okay, Sean O'Malley has that one punch knockout power. He can knock people out, and he hit this kid with everything he had, and the kid was still standing there. So I think Chris Moutinho made a huge impression in his first UFC fight. Like, I'm definitely excited to see him fight again.
Yeah. I actually, like I said, I think it's kind of a win-win situation, right? Because, like, Chris Moutinho, man, like, you go into that fight and he's almost like a prop for Sugar Sean O'Malley. Like, did you get that feeling before the fight? Like, this guy has no UFC experience and you're giving him Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's like a touted prospect, man. But he literally didn't even look like he really got wobbled that much. Like, right at the end, like, Sugar Sean hit him with like literally like a 5-piece, and he kept coming forward.
Yeah,
That's so crazy.
There was that little moment at the end of the first round where he kind of had him down, but he was kind of saved by the bell.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then even at the start of the second round, he looked like a bit wobbled, like his feet weren't totally under him, and then he just kept coming forward, and I was like, oh my God, this is insane. That was a cool fight. Definitely fight of the night.
Not mad at that.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. Those guys deserve the bonus. Give Mutino that 50K bonus. His face is probably busted up right now.
Dude, during the first round, like, Sugar Sean, he's picking him apart right at the start of the fight. He's doing his dribbling and stuff, which it's entertainment, man. He's building his hype up. He's doing it the right way. You can love him or you can hate him. He's a hell of a fighter. But, like, Joe Rogan is pointing out, he's like, Sugar Sean's looked at the clock twice in this round, and it's so crazy, man. Like, it goes to what you were saying. Like, he's a zombie. Like, if you were unloading on someone's face and he keeps pressuring you, like, Sugar Sean, I think what he's thinking at that point is he's like I have to just like not unload yet. Like, I have to like obviously keep hitting him, but like I can't really unload the barrel until the end of the round, because this I literally might throw like my hardest shot at this guy and he will just keep walking forward. Like, Sugar Sean just doesn't want to burn himself out, so at the end he lands those big shots and he jumps on him on the ground, but like obviously the bell goes and he can't get it done in the first.
I do think he was conserving his energy when he realized that this kid wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah,
because he was looking at the clock and he was picking his shots, and then when he realized that it was like last minute or last 30 seconds, Sean just started throwing everything, like, and that's when they stopped the fight. But I was like, if it kept going for 30 more seconds, I don't know, would we have seen a knockout? Maybe.
In that first round?
No, at the very end.
At the very end,
when they stopped it.
Maybe that's when he landed his, other than the first round, like his biggest shots. Yeah.
Because it was the end of the fight. That's what they do. Last minute of the fight, those guys just go fucking balls to the walls and start throwing everything. So, like, yeah.
It's so funny too how Sean O'Malley does business. Like, he's doing his walkout and you see like his tweet pop up on the screen. It's like Sugar Sean O'Malley tweets. He's like, "This one's for the Phoenix Suns."
Yeah, and that's why he was like, in between his combinations, he was like dribbling.
Yeah,
like,
Phoenix represent.
Yeah.
Suns in 4. Do you hear about Suns in 4 guy?
No.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't heard about this guy, this is I'm a little bit late on this, but during the Denver series against Phoenix, there's a video of a guy in the stands, right? And he's like arguing with a Nuggets fan. And this guy, like, he like took off his watch or something, the Denver fan, and then the Suns fan, he goes, he's talking to his buddy, and this guy tries to sucker punch him. So the Suns fan, he like grabs him and he's just teeing off on this guy, and while he's doing it, he's like talking shit to the other guy, and he's like, "Suns in 4, Suns in 4." So this guy, it didn't even seem like the Nuggets fans were mad either, because the Nuggets fan who like tried to sucker punch him, this guy's being a douche, man. Like, if you're gonna fight someone in the crowd, like, you like square off. Don't be the guy who's like tries to sucker punch another guy. Like, that's not honorable, right? But this Suns in 4 guy, he's like low-key a celeb now. Like, he's like they're like handing out Suns in 4 merch before the game. Like, there's a video of him with like good seats and he's like standing up in the crowd and they're all like, "Oh, we love this guy."
That's awesome. They gave him like executive seats after that.
I think so, man. I love this guy, bro. This Suns in 4 guy.
That's awesome.
And who does that too? Like, you're like feeding this guy Suns in 4, and they won in 4 in that round. They won in 4.
Way.
Yeah,
that's why he got the seats after that.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
That's so dope. Yeah, I love Suns in 4 guy. Not even a Phoenix Suns fan.
You don't even need to know his name. Just
Yeah.
call him Suns in 4 guy.
Well, I mean, that's who he is now. Like, just his name just doesn't matter anymore. He's Suns in 4 guy.
New identity.
Yeah. No, but that was a good fight, man. And technically, Sugar Sean gets the TKO for the Phoenix Suns. So
Yeah. I don't think it was the knockout he was hoping for.
definitely not.
That kid was probably way tougher than he thought. Chris
Oh, I'm
Mutino.
sure he was, man.
He was tougher than I thought he was going to be. Like, oh my God.
All in all, man, like, he's going to get another fight in the UFC now, like, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is, too, like, obviously he was putting on a lot of pressure, really good strategy. And he was, like, he was kicking the legs a lot, too. Like, I don't know if you saw that chart, but it was, like 150 head strikes to, like, I don't know, like 20 or something. But he actually did kick Sugar in the legs more than Sugar kicked him in the legs. So, I mean, implementing a pretty good game plan, and you know what? He comes out of this, and people are like, this guy's a warrior.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Oh yeah, dude's a savage.
yeah, pretty feel good story, I guess. I'm not mad at it. And you know, Sugar Sean too, like, you know, going in, he's like a social media guru, so to speak. Like, he's part of that younger, like, millennial generation where he knows he can really, like, build himself a name doing, like, the Twitch streaming, selling merch online, and he has his own podcast too. So going into that, he's trying to get those, like, those staple moments, like the Eddie Wineland knockout where you go, like, he fakes the uppercut and then cross walk away knockout, and then there's like the Thomas Almeida one where he comes down with the execution punch. But I mean, he had his moments in that fight, right? Like, where he's like dribbling, but he's pretending to dribble between his legs, and he goes jab, and then he dribbles, and he goes cross. So I mean, he didn't get the knockout he wanted, but on his record, he gets a TKO, and he got a couple good moments in there, you know. So
Yeah.
and he dominated. So.
Yeah. No, it was a good fight. Interesting fight. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really take that much away from Sugar for that one. You more just give credit where credit's due. Chris Moutinho.
Yeah, for sure, man. 100%.
Yeah, man. And yeah, that was good night of fights.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the, like, fight of the night picks?
Yeah, I am. That was definitely fight of the night. Sean O'Malley and Chris Mutino, like, they deserve the bonuses, I think. And then what was the performance of the night? Tai Tuivasa, and then the other one was Dricus Du Plessis on the prelims.
Yeah,
he had a clean knockout.
Not mad at that. Yeah,
Who was he fighting?
he was fighting Trevin Giles.
Yeah, so
That was dope. Yeah, he's a gangster.
yeah, it was a good matchup. It was a pretty close fight up until that point when he just caught him with a clean straight and just put him out.
He's such an unconventional fighter too. Like, the way he kind of he stands and he, like, analyzes, and then he just, like, runs in and tries to land, like, some wild shot. But
Yeah,
I mean, he looked pretty good doing it tonight. So.
I thought he looked
Or last night.
super weird, man. His foot movement was weird.
Yeah.
Everything about it was weird, but he came out on top, so good for him. Nice knockout.
Yeah.
He deserved the performance of the night for that, for sure.
And Jason, my guy, do you want to tell us who you picked as the fights you picked as potential fight of the night candidates?
No. Because they were the two worst fights on the card. Wow, you're going to make me talk about that. Yeah, so I picked Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, which was a total letdown a little bit. And I honestly thought the Wonder Boy and Burns fight was going to be, like, close. I thought it was going to be more of a war, man. It was just, like, not a whole lot happened. Like, I had higher hopes for that fight, I'm going to be honest.
Me too. And I mean, I'm giving you shit, but hindsight's 2020. Like, going in, you're looking at these guys and you're like, oh, like, who wins this? It's two, like, elite strikers. Such a weird combo of, like, Gilbert Burns has crazy power. Wonder Boy has, like, crazy unconventional karate striking and knockout power. And then Gilbert Burns is also, like, a world-class jiu-jitsu fighter.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't really know what you're getting for that. So I mean, I can't give you too much shit.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I didn't pick it either. I had Nico Price, Michel Pineda, which was a good fight.
Good fight. Pereira was doing, like, backflips and stuff in there.
It's a weird dude.
Don't usually see stuff like that.
Except with him, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Dana White too. I don't know if you guys watched the weigh-ins, but he did, like, a backflip off the scale, and then he landed in, like, a handspring, I think, and then, like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what the terminology is for this, but he did some pretty sick stuff, and after that, Dana White's like, yeah, don't do that again. Like,
Dana does not like it because
No,
guys
he doesn't
get
like
injured. Guys will hurt themselves doing that, and Dana's like, I need you to fight. Don't break your own legs doing stupid stuff. Like,
yeah, facts.
yeah,
Facts.
which is understandable. Yeah.
Who do you pick for performance of the night? Oh, Sugar Sean. You pick Sugar Sean.
Yeah, is that what I said? Yeah. And
Me too.
that's what he got one of those bonuses, right?
They had fight of the night.
Yeah, so that's same thing. Like,
Listen, like if he doesn't get fight of the night, he's getting performance of the night probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you say fight of the night just because you want to give Chris Moutinho some credit there.
Yeah.
Because he made that fight of the night by not getting knocked out despite getting hit like 200 times in the dome.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but I mean I think the picks were pretty good for that one. I was hoping one of them would be the McGregor Poirier one because we were hoping for the crazy final chapter to the rubber match. And we're disappointed.
But it might not be totally over, man.
It might not be over.
The trilogy might go on to whatever you call it when 4 or 5 fights happen. I don't know what that's called, but I'd like to see it, man. I'd like to see Poirier fight Oliveira, which we're going to see. And then I want to see McGregor come back again.
Oh, can we talk about the Poirier versus Charles Oliveira? Like, oh man, that's a fun fight. I don't even know how to break that one down.
Do you have any idea who is your pick for that? Have you thought? You probably haven't thought about it yet.
I'm not picking yet. I'm not gonna pick yet. I need to go over some stuff first. But man, Poirier just like throughout time, he's actually another guy like Charles Oliveira too. Those guys both have like so many UFC fights. Like they're both vets. They've both had a lot of big up and downs. It's crazy too. Like when McGregor just ran through Poirier the first time, like. We weren't that big UFC fans back then. We were youngins back then, but like it's crazy to think that after that, you know, Poirier is this guy who's just been grinding in this weight class, man. And I mean, he's coming off 2 wins against McGregor. Before that, who was it before that? Was it Holloway before that? No. I'm gonna pull it up. Holloway was in there. I'm gonna pull up the order.
Fights against like the toughest dudes.
Yeah. Let me get this. I want to do him justice here.
Obviously, he lost the one to Khabib, but everybody lost to Khabib.
Yeah, him and everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so listen. 2 wins against McGregor. That's freaking McGregor. Dan Hooker, which was like second place fight of the year, if you ask me. And that's only because there was the Zhang Weili versus Joanna fight, which was ridiculous. And then so he beat Holloway before that. And then he lost to Khabib, right? And then there's a win over Dustin Poirier. There's a win over Eddie Alvarez back when he was like Eddie Alvarez.
The Justin Gaethje fight.
Ooh. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was crazy. Yeah, so he's fought literally the toughest dudes.
Yeah, dude. And then there's Jim Miller. So I mean, respect. He's not in that elite class the other guys are. And then it's freaking Showtime Pettis, but like 2017 Showtime Pettis. So not like that was when he was like looking like an elite fighter. So Dustin Poirier, man, like it's ridiculous. Yeah. Looking so good, man.
Man, but Charles is so good too. Who are you cheering for in that fight? You said you don't have a pick for it.
I don't even want to. I have to wait for the lead up for this one, you know?
Yeah. So you have to watch some press.
So. Yeah, I like both guys too. Like Charles just seems Charles just seems like such a good dude. But I mean Poirier does too. Like he runs a charity and stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be a good fight, man.
Man, I really like Charles. As much as I respect Dustin Poirier as a fighter and he's like a good guy or whatever, I just like Charles and the way he holds himself.
That's your boy, eh?
Yeah. He's a funny guy. He's just funny.
Well, you know what? I think he's a bum. Nah, just kidding. No, I love Charles. He looked like a gangster last night too. Yeah. Like showing up in the nice, I think it was like a Versace suit or something. Yeah. With the sunglasses. But I love to like obviously he's trying to look cool and he's looking cool, but he's got a big smile on his face all the time. Just nice dude.
I think that's what I like about him. He's always laughing and he's always happy.
Yeah, and I mean that moment too when he won the title against Chandler, like just such an authentic moment. Like that's definitely my favorite fight of the year. Yeah. Like that was awesome. And that, you know, I think that makes a lot of people like him more too. Like he's had such a journey to the top. And what makes that fight so cool is too, like when you look at these guys' strengths, right? I'd say you could give Poirier the advantage on the feet, but with that being said, Charles Oliveira is a really good striker. I mean, he just frickin' knocked out Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
And I would say you can definitely give Oliveira the advantage on the ground. But again, bro, Poirier has a ground game. Like, he has a really, really good ground game. He's a black belt. He's no slouch on the ground, man. So that matchup is so good.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome fight, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one. And we're probably going to get Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje as well.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other thing. I can't wait for that
That's
one.
going to be exciting, too.
That should happen. The UFC should make that happen. I don't see any way they avoid making that happen. I don't want to say it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen.
It's probably going to happen.
It's probably going to happen. Yeah. And I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything from that card. Obviously, there were some disappointments on the card, but overall, definitely a fun night of UFC, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was a good one. I liked it.
Yeah.
All said and done.
All said, you said 7. I said 7.5 because I'm generous.
Yeah, you're a nice guy. Nicer than me, anyway.
Yeah. No, but good night of UFC. We enjoyed, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I also hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Do you have any parting words, Jason?
Nope, just hope you guys enjoyed the episode and you have an awesome night. Tune in next time. Do it.
Do it. And hit us up on socials, guys. We'll put the links in the description below, and we'll also put the links in the clip coming up next. So thanks for watching the video. Peace out.